Hi, everyone, and welcome again to another one of Choices Market seminars. I'm Darcy Furness. I'm the nutritionist in our South Surrey location. And tonight I'm delighted to bring you Denise Eaton from Bach Flower Remedies and the Nelson Product Company. First off, a couple housekeeping duties. If you'd like to take advantage of our free nutrition services, you can reach out to us directly via email at nutrition@choicesmarkets.com. And I will actually write this information into the chat on YouTube. If you'd like to ask questions, we would encourage that. And to do that, you'll need to sign into your own YouTube channel and use the chat function. If you don't have that, no worries. Denise will have an email on screen at the end of her presentation, and I will also write it into the chat so you can reach out directly for more learning opportunities or if anything needs to be clarified. At the end of the seminar tonight, you'll be sent an online survey about 8:30. We'd like your feedback for the seminar and also your mailing address, and you'll be mailed a nutrition coupon, which most of you are familiar with, and that gives you $10 off a $50 purchase on anything in our store, including sale items and including these lovely products we're going to be learning about tonight. So our seminar is going to run for about 45 minutes. I'll step out and Denise will take over and get us rolling. And please take advantage of the chat function to ask any questions you may have. And I'll pop back in about 45 minutes to see how we're doing and we'll wrap up. So without any further ado, let's send it over to Denise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thank you for your time today and learning about our products. My name is Denise Eaton. I'm a Bach Flower registered practitioner and education manager for Nelson's. I've been with the company for 24 years, doing lots of education, and maybe even some of you probably have met me before because I have traveled extensively just teaching about these educational programs that I offer, as well as about the brands that help with stress. So today we're going to talk about stress, how to manage it, and the brands that will actually help you in managing those stress. So during this presentation, we're going to learn about what is stress and how it affects our overall health and well-being. We're going to talk about Dr. Bach, the founder of the flower essences, and his philosophy. Nelson's the manufacturer of the Bach flower essences, and the brands Rescue Sleep, Stress, Support, Bach flower essences, and Spa-Tone, all which are manufactured by Nelson's. And we'll also give you opportunities to how you can learn more as well. So, what is stress? According to the World Health Organization, and I quote, stress can be defined as a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation. Stress is a natural human response that prompts us to address challenges and threats in our lives. Everyone, I mean everyone, experiences stress to some degree now and then. And I'm sure we can all feel, yes, we can understand what stress is, but do we know really what stress does to us? So, what does it mean to be stressed? Stress is more than just a feeling, it plays an essential biological role. When we get stressed, our body goes into triggers a fight or flight response, which is causing our stress hormones to go up and down. When hormone levels are up, we are more alert, we're more active, we get excited. When they are low, we experience the opposite effect. Now, there's two types of stress that I want you to pay attention to. One would be the eustress, which is a good stress. We like this stress. This is what gets us energized. It's when we exercise, when we're excited about maybe a sporting event, or we have to do a presentation, or we're having a celebration. This is really good stress that excites us, changes our hormone levels, so we go up and down. We have this feeling, but it's for short term. So then we get elevated back where the body becomes balanced. Now, when we get into distress is where it's a bad stress, and it can either be acute or chronic, such as losing a loved one, having to adjust to a new job, or experiencing some deep sorrow or traumas, being bullied, maybe addiction, anything that is a stress where it lingers for a long period of time. Now, this chronic stress that is lingering does affect the body and mind. Now, as you can see in the diagram that's shown, is what happens to our brains when the body is stressed. When it is stressed, The prefrontal cortex, the command center, sends messages to the hypothalamus, which is the stress responder. From there, it sends messages to the pituitary gland, and it will continue that communication to all the other hormones, such as the adrenal glands and cortisol, which we know is the stress hormone. So, when into stress, the cortisol levels remain high and it wears down the body. Becomes less active and it's not able to protect the body itself. So it compromises the immune system and the digestive system, reasoning why that we get sick when we're overly stressed or we don't feel hungry when we're stressed. So stress negatively impacts our physical and emotional health, and it doesn't compromise our immune system. These images depict on how stress affects our body, mind, behavior, and it takes over our emotions. Physically, it causes physical discomfort. As a diagram shows, stress significantly impacts our organs and tissues. The remedies help to neutralize the negative states of mind, return to positive, and stimulates a self-healing approach, which we're going to get into. So why are we dealing with our emotions anyways? Why is emotional wellness important? Well, emotional wellness allows you to work productively and cope with the stresses of everyday life. It can help you to realize your full potential. And according to experts, people who are emotionally well have fewer negative emotions and are able to bounce back from difficulties faster. We call this quality resilience. And we're going to talk about later in the presentation how you can build resilience. So let's talk about Dr. Bach or Bach. Both pronunciations were correct. He accepted both. He wanted to be known for being the founder of the 38 original flower remedies. He was a physician, an immunologist, he was a pathologist, bacteriologist, a homeopath, an herbalist. He had quite a scientific background. And he recognized that stress does cause disharmony to the body, which causes those physical symptoms, and that the remedies do support the patient's health and well-being by addressing the negative emotions. He believed that emotional harmony is key to good health. Now, our mental states can have an impact on our physical well-being. He also stated that disturbing moods or states of mind, if allowed to continue, lead to the disturbance of the functions of our organs and tissues. With this holistic approach, he focused on treating the human being as a whole person, not just the physical symptoms. And looking at it after, when 90 years when Dr. Bach had discovered this, his philosophy remains relevant to today. And with the growing holistic and psychosomatic trends emphasizing the connection between the mind and body, the system is more relevant now than ever before. He was well ahead of his time. So our brands are the only ones made using the original hand-picked flowers from the gardens of Dr. Bach. They also are picked from natural preserves as well as from friends from Spain, Switzerland, and Italy. The wildflowers and tree blossoms are cut at full bloom and they are infused in the sun method or boiling method and releasing the infusion, the heat in spring water. They actually are producing a mother tincture of energized water. The infusion is combined with a 50-50 ratio of a grape brandy alcohol. Now, the mother tincture of the flower essences then goes to Nelson's, where they do a TLC testing, which is a thin layer chromatography. This is actually a method where they actually separate the pigments within the leaves and they measure them from each batch year over year. And the batches have always been consistent from the day of Dr. Bach's discovery. Once the plant is identified, then the process is made into stock bottles where they do 2 drops to a 30 ml, 27% grape brandy alcohol. We use the grape brandy alcohol because it's the original recipe of Dr. Bach, and we maintain that original recipe to this day. From there, it's distributed to worldwide. Now, these flower essences, we're going to get into how they're going to help with balancing emotions and managing your stress. So Dr. Bach had developed a partnership with Nelson's because of their longevity and credibility in the manufacturing of healthcare products. Nelson's has been inspiring generations to live happier, healthier lives since 1860. So they're one of the largest leading Europe long established manufacturer of natural healthcare products, and they're dedicated to their consumers' everyday health and well-being. And they continue to produce those quality products that will get those effective results that the consumer is looking for. Nelson's a family-owned business producing those natural products to support the wellness, emotional wellness, stress relief, helping with sleeplessness for adults, children, and pets. And we distribute to 70 countries worldwide. The Bach essences, including Rescue Remedy, adhere to Health Canada flower essence monographs and guidelines. So the premium products that are designed to support you as well as your customers and everybody's busy lives are those that fall into the Bach Rescue brand, including Rescue Remedy, Rescue Night, and we're going to talk about Spartome. We'll be reviewing these products' features and benefits throughout the presentation. But first, let's begin by understanding the Bach flower system. By observing people's behaviors and by his keen insights in scientific knowledge, Dr. Bach identified with 7 groupings that represent fundamental conflicts, struggles that people are going through every day that prevent us from being true to ourselves. And within these groups, the remedies listed cover the specific level of that conflict or difficulty. When we look at the 7 groups, you're looking at those 7 colored categories, which identifies the different groups. And we'll go over a little bit more about them in the presentation. So the system, when I talk about the system, I'm talking about the 38 different specific essences that he had discovered. They are trusted worldwide. He discovered over 85 years. They treat the root cause of stress. So these are at a different level where you're identifying the person's on a personal level of what is causing their stress. They help support the emotional level, not the physical. Although we talked about stress and how it does affect us physically, we can't say a flower is given to help with sciatica, with that physical symptoms. We have to look at how do they feel, because you and I could have the same physical symptom, but emotionally feel something very different. It's a complementary approach, which means they can be used in conjunction with other medications or supplements that you're taking. They can be taken with food, your favorite beverage. There is no wrong way to take them. They're non-habit forming, non-addicting, and they're very gentle and subtle to use for the whole family, including your pets. Now, while the Bach original flower remedies are available in 38 individual essences, Dr. Bach also prepared one very special blend that he called Rescue Remedy. And Rescue Remedy is a blend of 5 of the 38 of the system, specifically chosen for times of difficulty and to help combat stress and create a sense of calm and emotional wellness in your everyday life. You can actually consider Rescue Remedy as the 39th essence that helps with stress. And it contains cherry plum to help maintain control, clematis to help you stay focused, empathians to stay patient, rock rose to help you face the situation with courage, and starbethum to neutralize that grief, that trauma of the situation. So this is your crisis formula. So let's talk about a little bit more about the portfolios of this brand. So the range that we consider in the Rescue is a natural stress relief for adults, kids, and pets, and then the Rescue Night for a natural sleep aid. The original Rescue Remedy liquid is the most popular SKU of all the Rescue ranges. It was the original formulation that he had made. It comes available in 10 and 20 ml drops, and it is, the same recipe as the original flowers, where they're preserved in a grape brandy. Whereas the kids and pet is the same 5-flower blend, but only in a vegetable glycerin. So they took out the alcohol and as a preservative, put the glycerin in because of the audience. Now you would take this during times of when it's acute stress, immediate. Now everybody's stress levels are different, But if you're looking at, say, a personal crisis or, fear of public speaking or dealing with a bereavement, a doctor, a dentist, or adjusting to a new job, school, or home. For animals, it's when they're traveling and loud noises, separation, stranger anxiety, adapting to new surroundings. Wherever you feel really out of sorts or out of control to the point where you can't cope is when you would take, it's best to take rescue remedy. Now, the drops just comes in, say, a dropper, and you would just take 4 drops directly in your mouth, or you could add it to water, beverage, and sip it in intervals. The key to the flowers in general is you take them infrequent. So if you're experiencing a difficult time, I could take 4 drops. I may need another half an hour, another 4 drops, or maybe the 4 drops I took was going to be fine. It helps me take a deep breath and be focused and be able to cope with that situation. But some may need more. There's no wrong way to take it. Just be consistent about taking it until you feel the optimal results. Now, one of the most popular products is the pastilles. The pastilles has the same 5 flowers in Rescue Remedy, only in a kind of a hard gummy lozenge that is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and it's easy to take for traveling. You can, it's an impulse item. It comes in a tin. You pop the tin, open it up, and you just suck on one at a time. Can you take more than one? You could do, as often as you need to. Just close the tin, just snap right back. This is most popular because people like candies. People think it's a very easy delivery. They can share it. They can travel with it. It comes in 2 flavors, orange elderflower as well as black currant. And it's about 35 doses per container. So you're getting a lot for the price point. And again, I think it's a desirable delivery method, and it's very tasty. So I think that's why it's most popular. But think about, your customers and whether you want to put these on the register end cap or, a travel end cap or, dealing with anywhere that is an impulse. Children can take it. So it's quite versatile. Now, Rescue Cream contains the 5 flowers of Rescue Remedy, but also added the Bach Original Flower Crabapple. And crabapple is a flower that helps accept imperfections. We call it the cleansing flower. So it's good for when you have any minor skin conditions, such as dry lips and chapped skin, especially this time of year, the winter. You have the dry skin, you put it on, it helps soothes. It's good for rashes, sunburns, grease burns, bug bites. It contains a nice shea butter, so it absorbs readily. It's free of lanolin, of any fragrance, parabens, alcohol. It's non-greasy. It's not tested on animals. There's a lot of positive to this product. And it's also for those who don't want to necessarily take Rescue Remedy internally, because you still contains the same 5 flowers. You rub it on your pulse points and let it absorb into your system, putting it on topically. It's still for the stress relief. So it's going to help calm the body to allow the body to heal on its own, which is a wonderful property. If you haven't tried that, I suggest highly to try it. And then we have Rescue Night. Rescue Night is a composition of the original 5 flowers plus the flower, Bach flower, white chestnut for repetitive thoughts. So this does not have melatonin. So you're not going to get that groggy feeling that you would by taking a sleep aid or melatonin to help you sleep. This helps you with your day stress, taking the stress to bed with you, and then your mind where you can't shut it off. This helps calm the mind, relax the body from the day's stress to allow for a good night's sleep. And you can take it as often as you need to, ideally prior to going to bed. But if you get up, you may take it again if you happen to, wake up in the middle of the night. You have a spray version where you would spray directly in your mouth before you go to bed, or we have the capsules, which is just taking 1 capsule, let it dissolve directly under your tongue. The capsule happens to be free of alcohol, So for those who are alcohol sensitive, this would be a desired product to have. But these are good for children too, whose minds won't shut off. Adults whose minds don't shut off. I even actually gave some to my pet, where I felt he was, she was being a little preoccupied and she wasn't settled, and it actually worked very nice. So whenever the mind is going and you can't shut it off, Rescue Night is wonderful. So let's go back to looking at some of the top sellers that we have pretty much are worldwide. So we have the Rescue Remedy. We know that's number one. That's the blend of the 38. Now let's go into talking a bit more about identifying the single flowers that are going to help with stress, because this is really the root cause. So with some acute or chronic stress, it is best to identify those root causes to find out, why that person is chronically stressed. Because if you're telling me you're stressed every single day and you've been doing that for a long period of time, it's probably the root. What is the root? And we're going to find that with the single. You got to look at the single flowers. So in these cases, we look at them individually, identify the underlying reasoning. As you can see in this slide, it depicts the top sellers, which is worldwide, which is giving me a good example of what is causing people to be stressed to begin with. We have fear, face your fears, which is a fear, general fear, Mimulus and Rock Rose, which is a rescue remedy for the panic. Mimulus is just for everyday fear, whether shy, timid, have, fears of paying bills or, not having a job. They can articulate what that fear is. And they reach out to others, as we know as a loneliness category, impatience. People are impatient. They want things instantly, so they're not willing to wait. And that's causing them a lot of stress internally, the tension that they're feeling because of that impatientness. In the stand your ground, which is known as an oversensitivity category, walnut, because people may have all kinds of changes, whether it's physical change to their body, they're changing and they're not accepting that, or it's environmental, where they have a major move, new job, new home, new babies coming in, or it could be influential, where we're so influenced, especially in the industry that you're in, where you're dealing with so many customers. How do you not absorb all of that negativity that sometimes you are experiencing because they want to share all the things that are going on in their life? Walnut helps to adapt to those change. In the live the day category, which is known as the insufficient interest, meaning these people are not present because olive, they're too tired to be in the present moment, or white chestnut because they're preoccupied. So they can't be focused and present because their mind is preoccupied with all other things. So when you're looking at the category of know your mind, it's an uncertainty category in hornbeam because people are procrastinating. They're not certain of the future of what they're doing. The live and let live category, also known as the overcare for the welfare of others, these people care too much about what other people are doing. And beach is to have more tolerance, where they're overly critical of what others are doing. Instead of focusing on themselves, they're focusing on what other people are doing. Joy and hope are known as the despondency despair category, which is the largest category of Dr. Bach he had discovered. Crabapple, elm, larch, star of Bethlehem. These flowers are working on those people who don't have self-acceptance of themselves. They're overwhelmed, they lack confidence, and they're going through a lot of traumas. So let's look at some common situations and the essences that actually can help during those times. So let's look at work. Work is inevitable. People work more time in their life than they do not. But sometimes we struggle with work, and just some situations that may be, if you're looking at making some changes, or if maybe you may identify what I'm saying here, is see if we can work on, this is the core of what's happening during work. So it can be very stressful when we procrastinate, if we're feeling overwhelmed, or if we're looking for a new path, or we haven't made that move to move on because of fear of financial reasons, or just don't have the confidence in ourselves. So taking like hornbeam, elm, and wild oat can help you procrastinate less, set realistic goals for yourself, become more efficient and everyday activities and set those priorities that's realistic. Have a clarity of mind and to be able to focus more on your energy, on a new purpose of life. And that's what the Wild Oat helps you, is to help give you that purpose. Now, when we're going to talk about how you would take these when you have more than one a little bit further in the presentation. But think about these are opportunities for you to say, well, I'm talking about work. What are you struggling with at work? And think about if you want to change something, what would that be? And it's going to help you identify what flowers you may need. Now, when you see, schools, whether it's a child struggling at school or maybe you went back to school as an adult, you know, if you're feeling a bit timid, a bit shy, or you have some fears about this, Mimulus is going to help you with that. If you're lacking concentration, you find yourself daydreaming and you can't focus and be present in the moment because you're thinking too much of what's happening in the future, Clematis will help bring that to so that you focus at that moment. And school can be very discouraging when learning new things. Are you struggling with, the fact that you have to learn new things and not fast enough, or it's just really hard and you're getting frustrated and discouraged? Well, Gentian will help put that all together. So this group will help you face your fears, be more self-assertive, to be able to identify, if you want to, meet the people that you want to be more assertive and go and be less timid and less be more of an extrovert versus an introvert, to be able to take interest in the moment, to be able to focus, be more, control over your thoughts, and to accept and learn from any setbacks that does happen during the course of learning, but knowing that you just keep plugging at it and you'll get through it. Life changes. When we look at life changes, we say, okay, we go through all kinds of life changes all the time, but are we adapting to those changes? Some people have a very hard time, and show difficulty in coping when it comes to change. So walnut to help to adjust to change, honeysuckle for longing, let go of the past, and then wild rose to have a little more enthusiasm. So this blend will help you with that adaptation, to embrace the now, have an ability to accept the past without regrets, and to see those changes in a more a natural process. Be more enthusiastic. Self-acceptance. Images. We've seen more transformation of people because they won't accept the natural aging process. We see it on in a lot of famous, actors and actresses, how they, want to do facelifts and transforming their whole body just for that self because they want it the way it used to be. When someone dislikes their self-image, crabapple, if they're having guilt about things that they've done in the past, or just always feeling guilty or saying sorry for something, that's pine. And to be very hard on themselves, having such stringent routines and set because they're setting a high example, not only to show to others but for themselves. They're just very inflexible. So taking this combination will help with acceptance, deal with imperfections, love thyself, have more self-respect, be more flexible, and be less judgment towards oneself. And caretakers. We're in the sandwich generation more and more. As we live longer, we are taking care of young as well as old. Red chestnut helps us to be able to, be caretakers, care for our loved ones without the fear, without the worry. It also, gives us, olive to help us with maintaining that energy level, because we are being torn in two different directions and there's just not enough time in the day for everyone. And being overly protective. Sometimes we get overly protective and possessive of our loved ones and want things to be done our way. And that would be help. And that's chicory to help be able to love unconditionally. So this combination, when taking care of people, helps you to have peace of mind, less anxious about an individual. It helps you restore that mental and physical energy that is depleted when you're working all day and then having to go take care of loved ones. To recognize your energy level, love that unconditionally, and offer, genuine maternal love. Grievance. When we talk about grievance, this is the number one category, number one sellers, Star of Bethlehem, because everybody's going through lots of trauma. Whether it's a lost loved one or a natural disaster or any type of crisis where people will grieve. Star of Bethlehem will help neutralize that. And then sweet chestnut for the mental anguish, because some people get in such a deep sorrow that they don't see any light at the end of the tunnel and they become hopeless and despair. So this combination would help neutralize that grief, become more optimistic, feel that comfort, that support, restore faith and hope, and hopefully see that light at the end of the tunnel. And fur babies. Don't forget, we have our furry friends and they have emotions too. So when we look at them, although animals are much more difficult to be able to identify a perfect blend for them, there's some key flowers that really are common use for animals. One being mimulus for stranger anxiety, being timid, shy, fear of thunderstorms, loud noises. Also, fear of losing control. When they have that fear, they tend to lash out, bark a little bit more because they are out of control at that point. And then fear of losing their possessions. They become very territorial, whether it's their owners, whether it's their food or a toy or the territorial. And that chicory will help them to be less territorial, become a calmer pet, more self-control, less timid, and have more courage. So when helping to choose, making choices of flower essences, you need to have the tools to be able to identify what the individual is feeling, or ask yourself, how are you feeling? How do you feel today? Does this describe what you're feeling today? Is this something that kind of describes maybe a pattern, a part of your personality? Is this something you experienced recently, or is it something that's been long term? Am I struggling with this every single day? Is this holding me back? Is this preventing me from being the person I want to be or being productive in my everyday activities? And if the answer is yes, then you want to take that particular flower. And to take one single flower, you would just take 2 drops, put it directly on your tongue, and take it as often as you need to get that, the rest of the results, that your optimal results, or minimum of 4 times a day. It's about frequency when you're taking flowers. Now, when you're making a blend, as we talked about, these were more 3 flowers. You can blend up to 7 at one time. You would want to make a personal blend. You're not going to open up 7 bottles, 4 times a day. It's just, we don't have that kind of time. So they're very concentrated. You can make your own personal blend. So you're going to get an empty 30 ml mixing bottle. Fill it 3/4 spring water. And for each flower, you're only going to add 2 drops to that bottle. So you have this bottle, this is it, and I'm going to just do 2 drops. Now you can mix up to 7. You can put 7 flowers, 2 drops. From here, you would take 4 drops. So whenever you have a combination, like Rescue Remy's a combination, Rescue, Night would be a combination, you would take 4 drops. If it's a single flower, you take 2. The key is frequency, making sure you take it throughout the day. So if you have to take it 4 times a day, 5 times a day, whatever works for you, that you're giving you that comfort is what you want to do, but at least a minimum of 4 times a day. So morning, noon, late afternoon, and before you go to bed to get the best results. This will last about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how often you take it. Some take it 4 times a day, some take it 5, 6. It depends on how often you take it. The key is about the frequency. After that, you reevaluate yourself. How are you feeling? Did something peel? We call it the peeling effect. Am I still feeling the same way? If so, keep up with the blend, make another blend. If you see something appear stronger or something's not there anymore, but emotion surface, this is what we call peeling one layer at a time. We got to get to the core so we can find that true balance and harmony that we've been longing for, that will release so what was causing us stresses to begin with. So what should you expect? It helps, the flowers help to neutralize. So they work as an energy level to help balance out what your body's stress response is. The heart rate, the whole tension is a reaction from the stress. Now, the remedies help neutralize that so your body's back and calm. So it's in that neutral playing territory. Okay. Now, what you're going to feel is you're going to feel more relaxed. You may sleep more, especially if the stress has caused you not to sleep. It's going to allow you to relax, to get that good night's sleep. You'll be more aware, cognitive wise. You're going to be more observant about what goes on. So you're going to be understanding what is causing or what's triggering that stress. And you're going to do something about it because you're not going to go down that road to get stressed. You'll smile more. You'll feel much more lighter. You'll make better decisions, be more decisive. You'll have clarity of that mind. And most importantly, you're going to feel that peace within yourself to be able to be fulfilled and make those decisions in life that is going to give you true happiness. Okay. So with that, I will talk a little bit afterwards at the end on how you can further more education on the Bach Flower Essence System, which will be an opportunity for you if you really want to dive in and indulge in the different all the different essences and how they, the indications. I'm going to give you that opportunity, and also we're going to talk about on general how to build what to do for resilience. But I do want to touch bases about iron because Nelson's also owns a natural spa that is been around for over 200 years. That is a phenomenal product for iron, which is, I'd like to speak a little bit more about that. So we're going to take a moment about how iron deficiency does cause stress to the body, because when you're depleted of iron, then your body is not functioning to the way it's supposed to function. But Spartone liquid iron is a naturally occurring iron rich spring water, collected and packed straight from the natural iron-rich water well, the Trefoil Well Spot in Snowdonia, North Wales. It is collected, filtered from all the bacteria, and then it is filled into a convenient little packet of one dose, and that's it. At no stage is there any other thing added to it. So for over 200 years, this well has been bottling, iron rich water that's been distributed to worlds and trusted worldwide. Now, I just, showed you the blue box, but you may have some on the shelf that may be an orange box. That's the old packaging that's coming into you'll see the blue boxes, transitioning into the new color, which is the blue. But why is iron needed? We know iron is needed for our growth and development. It makes the hemoglobins in the protein, the red blood cells that carries the oxygen to our body, and it supports the functions of our immune system. Now, stress signs of low iron is that it causes anemia, fatigue, you're weak, your body is, not producing efficient amount of energy. It can experience dizziness, lack of focus, increased irritability. It also compromises your immune system, just like stress. Stress in general, this is a sign, of your body not being able to absorb. Now, I'm not saying that lacking of iron is always is due to stress. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that low iron, it will cause additional stress to the body. So who needs stress? Who needs iron more is women, typically, because we experience menstruation cycles, we have pregnancies, we lactate, we go through menopause, all which affects, the iron levels. And if you see on the slide, excuse me, as the recommended daily allowance. Now, the daily allowance, it's a recommended dietary allowance. It's not something that we have to take it pertains to every single individual, whether you're a man, woman, child, because everybody's body absorbs iron very differently. And some absorb it, just through their diet. if they eat meat or those leafy green vegetables, then they're going to be more prone to get the iron absorption, and their body is actually absorbing it. Whereas I know people who eat a very healthy diet of a mix of meats and greens, and yet they're not able to absorb the iron at the level that they should, and therefore need to have an iron supplement. The only real way you would need to know if you have low iron, first of all, you would feel it because of the fatigue, that it's a real exhaustion and dragging, that you wouldn't be able to, do any tasks because you're so tired. But you would also need a blood test, and you'd have to get that obviously from your physician to see what those levels are, and what your body is lacking and why it is not absorbing. So although it says, for instance, pregnancy women, 27 milligrams of iron is recommended, when women are pregnant, doctors tend to do more of that because you're feeding the fetus as well as yourself, so you're going to need to have more iron. But more isn't always better, and research has determined that you don't necessarily need more iron if your body is not absorbing it. There are some key things to know about iron when it comes to how it absorbs into the body, and what you may be taking that might interact in that absorption. So we want to cause, what would cause a decreasing effect is just as important as knowing that if your body absorbs it. If you take iron an ideal way to take iron is on an empty stomach, or you can take it, first thing in the morning, or take it with a vitamin C juice to help enhance the absorption. So vitamin C does help iron absorb readily into the system, and it's best to be taking in the morning on an empty stomach. You do want to refrain from taking it with other supplements or other medications, because some of them might interact in that absorption. Now, enhancers, as we talked about, taking the vitamin C, absorbic acid, like fruits, the vegetable amino acids will help the absorption. So those enhance the absorption. But then there's competitors. So when you have a supplement that is a combination of iron and other, vitamins and minerals, they're going to compete for that absorption. So be very careful of what, according to this chart, there's some that will inhibit that absorption, and they don't want them to fight. Bottom line is that the main takeaway is to get the most out of your absorption of iron. It should be taken by itself and not with other ingredients, so that it won't interfere or have to fight for that absorption in the body. Now, less is more. In this slide, it happens to show that that lower dosing. They're saying studies are showing that the lower dosage is much more easier absorbed. So we're taking too much, 25 milligrams, 350 milligrams. I've seen some people take that much. There is no way the body's going to absorb all that. It's going to take what it can, and then it discards the rest. And what happens with the rest, it becomes toxic to the body. And that's where you get into the trouble of the side effects: stomach irritation, nausea. It causes a lot of constipation, which is the main thing, which we don't want to have in our life. So to minimize that, understand what that dosage is. Lower dose is much gentler to your gastrointestinals, and you will find that there is definitely less side effects. So let's talk about Spartone. So Spartone is a liquid format. So it's not a pill. There's nothing synthetic about it. There's nothing added to it. There is no preservatives. There's no other ingredients, no minerals. It's just a natural source of ferrous sulfate iron that was taken from the well, and you just take one sachet, put it directly in your mouth, or you can add it to orange juice and sip it through that for that absorption. Why it is so absorbable, honestly, we don't know. We think it's because of its natural, gentle source that it just goes into the bloodstream, because it's a high level of the ferrous sulfate, but it's only 5 milligrams. So that's the key thing. People say, okay, well, it's only 5 milligrams, but our studies, we've done bioavailability studies showing on menstrual women that it has a 2 to 3 milligram absorption rate. which is fairly high for a supplement. Most cases they take it in absorbing 40%, which we found the study, so about 4 milligrams, which is the recommended daily allowance realistically. So if you're looking for a gentler format of taking iron, Spartone is the one. And what's nice about it is that you can also give it to children 2 years of age and over. So it's where we're finding children that are much more iron deficient. It's probably because of their diet. They're lacking iron. You can give it to a child 2 years or older. So why is it so unique? First of all, it's a natural source. Liquid formula that has a high absorption rate. There's no inhibitors added. There's no additives added. There's only one ingredient. There's no competing for the absorption. It's easy to store. You can put it in the, you don't have to put it in the refrigerator. It comes in a box for a monthly allowance of sachets. It's easy to travel with. You just take the sachet, put it directly in your mouth. I will be honest, it does taste a bit metallic-y, because it is iron. Theory is if the more it tastes, metally, probably the more iron deficient you are. It doesn't taste that way to me, but I'm not iron deficient, so maybe the theory is correct. But put it in orange juice. A glass of orange juice will mask the taste of that iron. And it's gentle on the stomach. No side effects. You take it, get the absorption, highly absorbable, and be on. Get that energy back. So in general, we talk about building resilience. Okay, so we talked about, we have all these parts. We know what to do when it comes to our body. We have physical symptoms we want to take care of. We have low iron. We want to be able to take the iron supplement to be to have that level back, so we have the energy, and that's going to make us healthier. Okay, but we're going to build resilience. And why building resilience is important is because when it comes to emotional stress, everyday stress, if we don't build resilience, then it's just, we're going to continue that kind of Ferris wheel of just routine, same mistakes over and over again, that it's causing us not to have quality, just quality of life. Right? Because Dr. Bach said that the reason why we're here, we have a purpose. And what is that purpose? And our purpose is to find that. And if we have these negative states of emotions, we're not going to, first of all, we're too cloudy. We're not going to find our purpose. We're going to be, unhappy. We're not going to have that, that joy. And physically, we're not going to be healthy because we're compromising our immune system, because we're constantly stressed. So how do you build resilience? So according to the National Institute of Health, there are 7 steps that we can manage to help build resilience. Number 1, recognize and count, really combat that stress. Our body is communicating to us when it is take action. When you see that you're tense, when you're having muscle pains, when your back aches, or you're getting slight, colds, these are signs that, okay, you're under a lot of stress. So during times of stress, when you're feeling that tension rise, take deep breaths, do some stretching exercises, walk away from the problem, maybe journal down, take some journal and put down your emotions and expressions of what's going on during that time. Maybe take a time for you. Self-care is a priority. How many people actually do that? When was the last time you actually said, you know what, today I have a day for me. I'm going to do what I want to do. And that could be maybe doing nothing, or could be, exercising, taking a walk, getting out into nature, listening to music, relaxing, do a hobby, doing something that brings you joy. Try new routines. We are so stuck in the same routines, and I'm guilty of this too, over and over again, that it does get a little depressing. It does feel a little bit overwhelming. It feels unfulfilling when we are stuck in that routine. Well, try something new. Do something different to break that routine so you don't feel you're stuck. Stay connected with friends. When people tend to be stressed, they tend to pull away. When they have more problems and more issues, they isolate themselves. That's the worst time to isolate yourselves. Go Find that connection, have friends, or find some new friends. Maybe some of your old friends are bringing you down because misery likes company. Find some new friends that are really more positive, and they're going to stimulate you to be a better person. See problems through the lens, different lenses. So try to sit back and say, okay, this is my situation. We call that reframing, kind of looking at how do we think and try to be more positive of what we can do during that situation. Seek help with a problem. Look for others for tips. What people do if they're in this situation. People, you'll be surprised in how many people are sharing the same experiences as you, but they're not sharing it. But if you ask, maybe you can share together, and together you come up with those solutions. Um, and most importantly, if it is become too overwhelming, definitely talk to a professional, healthcare professional, if the stresses is getting to a level where you are becoming so despondent and despair and you're not having a quality of life or well-being. Okay, so to learn more about the flowers in general, because there's 38 of them and there's a whole core system, it takes a little bit more time to understand them. I can't do this in 1 hour presentation. So I invite you to take advantage of some other opportunities. We do have some recordings of links of, we call it Nelson's Academy. You can see further presentations. But I do want to encourage you that if you're really interested in it, and because you're partners with us and you sell especially the Bark 38, as well as Rescue Remedy, to take the level 1 certification course. It's complimentary to you. So this is an international education program that is affiliated with the Bach Center. So it's a 3-tier program. All 3 levels have to be taken to become a Bach Flower registered practitioner with the center, that would be part of a registration of 3,000 global practitioners that use Bach flower essences. The commitment to this would be typically, it's 2 weeks, 2 sessions per week, 3 hours per session. So it's a 12-hour course. It's equivalent to get your certificate. But the level 1, once you pass that, then you can go on to level 2 and level 3 if that's who you choose to desire to go to that next level. And as opportunities come, I will obviously give them to you. So I really, hope that you take advantage of that. I'm working on the schedule, so the next one will probably come about April, and between April and May, and I'm trying to do 2 different times to accommodate the different time zones. But if you are interested, just send me an email at deniseeaton@nelsons.net. I'll put you on the list of interest, and when it comes down, I'll give you the application. Just fill it out with the information, and we'll get you signed up so that you can attend the course. For anything, it's about yourself. It's a journey to self-explore. Are you fulfilled in life? Is this what you want to be? Is this everything that you feel that is satisfied, and you're on that path and that vision of forever happiness that we all want to be? If not, then what's holding you back? What are you struggling with? What can we do? How can you help you yourself, your family members, your friends, even your customers, to really identify that when they say there's stress, really what's the underlying, what's causing their stress, and really get to the root of it using the flower essences in general.
Okay, I'm back, and thank you so much, Denise. That was a fascinating presentation, and I have to confess, in my store, I was had a little bit of knowledge of the flower remedies, but really not nearly as much as I do now. So, thank you for sharing that. It's not the most common modality, but another very powerful tool in our toolbox. I do want to say that the technology spirits were not completely with us, and for some reason, I didn't have my chat function tonight. So, anyone with us, unfortunately, we weren't able to put questions into the chat, and I'm not quite sure why that is, and I will report that through to the platforms. Sometimes they make changes, and we're not quite notified. So, anyways, I'm just going to reiterate the contact information. So, Denise again is Denise Eaton, that's DeniseEaton at nelsons.net, just in case anyone missed that on the screen. And Denise, maybe you could put that particular slide back up if someone wants to take a slightly closer look at that. And If you'd like to take advantage of Choices Market's free nutrition services, you can email nutrition@choicesmarkets.com and you'll be hooked up with your nearest store nutritionist if you'd like to learn more about the services we offer. So, just to sum up Denise's presentation, I had a couple questions that I'd like to ask.
Hmm.
I think you did touch. I love the dosing. Was that one of my questions? Was can you combine? Which you answered very clearly. I think. Is there a max times per day that you would take those doses? It was minimum 4. Anything we should sort of limit out on, or what's practical there?
No, they're very gentle, and it really depends on how much support you need through that day. I know that for me personally, if I'm in a real stressful situation where I need rescue remedy, I could take it every 5 minutes until I actually feel like I've taken a deep breath. I can feel my heart rate go down, and I'm okay now. I can be in control. When taking the individual ones, now we're dealing with something that's a little bit long term. This is more about, okay, what some things that you hold on to that is a pattern that you see, then it's like that may take a little bit more time, and 4 times a day is acceptable. Can somebody take it 6, 7, 8? They certainly can, absolutely. Whatever makes them feel as though they have the results that they want throughout that time. But there's no wrong way to take them. The key thing
Okay,
is to take them.
good to know. And then let's say I'm going to be taking something for some grief, and I take that. I'm saying I'm going 4 to 6 times a day, and it's a single blend. How many days should I allow? Like, how quickly could I feel differently, or is there any kind of benchmarks or time to be fair? I know some supplements they advise you to give it 30 days, and I don't think this takes that long, but maybe you could just comment on that for us.
Well, the rule of thumb is if you were the more acute, the more recent the emotional state, the quicker the results. So you should see results pretty, within the day or so.
Okay.
If it's something that has been, say, 10 years, so if you've been holding a grudge for 10 years, it's not going to go away in 2 drops. It could take 1 month per year of taking that flower, depending on the individual, because no two people are alike. But when it comes to grieving, grieving is hard because it, there's no right or wrong way to grieve, and there's no right or wrong timing for grieving. We have people that can grieve, and in 6 months they're back on their feet, they're doing, getting involved again and trying to make something of themselves. Then there's people that have grieved for 10 years and haven't let go, and it's affected them. So in those cases, you identify, you take in, say, Star Bethlehem to help with the trauma and the grieving, the process, because it's so new. And then, or take rescue remedy because it's at the moment, getting through, say a lost loved one, you're getting through the arrangements and all that. And so
Mhm.
you take in rescue remedy because it has Star Bethlehem in there. Then 3 weeks go by, 4 weeks, and you're still grieving. You may want to switch over. And, okay, what are we grieving about? What is the end of Star Bethlehem's going to be there? But then it could be fear of without that person. It could be all of these other things that they're feeling that they need to get through. So we would adjust that blend for them. But again, typically when you're feeling something that just happened, if you take the flower right away, it usually passes within the day or so. When you make this, it's usually, you know, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. Within that time, you should feel something.
That's lovely. That's actually great because, as human beings, we're not static, are we? And I think, we because we are static, we change, and I think we have to be responsive to how we change. And we're very nuanced and we're complicated. So that's lovely. Whereas one supplement is one thing always. This gives us a chance
Mhm.
to become more intuitive, I'm thinking as well. So thank you for
Right.
the information on your
Yeah.
course too, because I know even if people don't want to become practitioners, some of these opportunities are amazing just to help us dive a little bit deeper and
Absolutely.
learn a bit more about it.
And the level one gives you the fundamentals. It
Yeah.
gives you an understanding of Dr. Bach. It gives you all the indication of the flowers. It helps you identify when to use them. So you use cases and you work in groups, and it's fun. It's a
Mhm.
hands-on type of workshop experience as much as you can on a virtual platform, but it's still enough to get people to think and talk about, yeah, this is a journey. And I want
Mhm.
people to come into this course working for themselves. I don't want them to start, because they're going to come right away and say, okay, I want to fix my mother, my father, my daughter, my son, my friend. No, this is about you, because if we're not healthy and in a good frame of mind, we're not going to be able to help others at all in anything.
Mhm.
So it's more about, okay, what are you ready to work on? And it's a constant work, but this is a journey to help you fulfill your destiny. What do you want to be? What do you want out of life?
Well said. I don't think there are any contraindications, but are there any situations where people should not be using Bach flower remedies?
If they're alcoholics on
Okay.
antabuse,
Okay.
because antabuse or any generic um, prescription for alcoholism, because they're
Gotcha.
taking that prescription because even if they take mouthwash or the extracts, that they are
Right.
going to get deathly sick because their organs are really breaking down. So
Right.
those are the only ones. But in those cases, they can, dilute it, put it on their pulse points, took it in their bath water on a hot cotton press. So they don't use the rescue cream. If they're going to use the stress relief, they don't
Okay.
have to take it internally. They could definitely put it on more topically. So it's more the
Okay.
ones about the alcohol. They not, or they could take the non-alcohol version ones as well.
Perfect.
Um,
That's great.
keep in mind, for those who are alcohol sensitive, if you're putting 2 drops in a glass of water,
Mhm.
it's diluted. I mean,
Right.
because energy feeds off energy. So water is a natural carrier of energy. So when you put in the energy, the drops in water, it's still going to hold and it's still going to store. Um, so, or if they're actually taking, a couple drops from the bottle, it's no more than eating a ripe banana, the alcohol
Okay.
content. And it's a fruit grape. It's not a grain, so it's still gentle to the system. So, um, again, that's the only one that I would say it's the prescription drug,
Perfect.
because they
That's
would get sick.
fantastic. Yeah, nice to have something so safe from nature. I also love that you talked about the lower dosage of the spa tone. We'll just segue there as we finish, just because I think it's sort of human nature. We think that more is better, biggest is best, and that's just so not true. And especially things like iron, you don't want to be overloading your body with iron and taking huge doses, even if you are a bit deficient. Why not? Let our body do things naturally and gradually. So I love
Yeah.
that description because I've seen that
It,
product as well, and that's been a bit of a mystery for me too. So now I feel more informed.
yeah, and even for, when you're looking at just supplements in general, the combination supplements, it's crazy. I mean, like, who comes up with those allowances, and who comes up with that blend? Because you'll see iron, it's my Boston accent comes out. You see that in many supplement combinations, and it won't absorb. It's
Right.
it's competing with the other supplements, and it's just not. It just won't absorb, and it needs to be taken by itself. So I
Right.
find that kind of very funny that they would put it in a combination when you're really not supposed to do that. So um, people are smart now. They're really looking at labels, and they should. And kudos
Mhm.
to everyone being aware of what's on the label and what is going to be, give them the best results. And sometimes it's trial and error. Our bodies are all different. We don't
Mhm.
absorb all the same.
That's right.
So,
But I think too, you're right about that because I think sometimes I advise people to keep things simple. The busier products can be, and if we have any issues with any parts of them, you won't know because there's too many things going on. So sometimes the simple approach is the best approach, isn't it? And just take it chill and off we go. But there we have it.
yep,
Okay, well,
absolutely.
thank you so much again. That was really informative. So I hope everyone's enjoyed it, and please stay tuned for future seminars. And you'll be able to rewatch this at your leisure on our YouTube channel, and it should be on. I'm pretty sure it gets loaded up the next day, so you should be able to watch this again if you'd like to make any more notes, and watch for your follow-up email. Asking for your address, your mailing address to send you the nutrition coupon. And you can bring that coupon to the store and maybe head over to Wellness and take a look at the Bach flower remedies and the spa tone, but any of our products as well. So thank you again
Cool.
to Denise, and everybody have a good night. And for those of you in the lower mainland waiting for our snowfall, stay warm and stay safe,
Mhm.
and we'll see you